Hi there, I am Pamela Petrick, also known as the Dietless Dieting Coach, and I am a registered nurse, a certified holistic health coach, and busy women come to me when they are ready to ditch the yo-yo dieting, the constant weight regain, and the fatigue, and they are ready for natural, holistic strategies for their unique bodies so they can release the weight, keep it off, and feel light and free. And when they work with me via my Beyond the Fork Academy, we customize their journey for their own unique body. And so I am on a mission for you to find those solutions that are natural and holistic that'll work for your unique body, which is exactly why I created the Beyond the Food Weight Loss Summit, specifically designed for women over 40 who are ready to break free from the constant weight regain and nothing's working for you. This summit is different because I'm bringing together experts who will share their top strategies to help you release weight naturally without extreme diets, restrictions, or extreme workouts, and help you to achieve lasting weight loss and transform your health for good. Plus, every expert is giving you a free gift, all specifically geared for women over 40. Do you have your pen ready? It's time for our next featured expert for the Beyond the Food Weight Loss Summit, Real Solutions for Women Over 40.
Hello and welcome. My name is Lita Johnson, and I am the owner and primary coach at Head to Toe Coaching. And I am so blessed to be in a position where I get to help people who feel overwhelmed and frustrated by the state of their health. I simplify the noise and teach my clients the essential skills to build lasting daily habits. And I am so excited to be here to talk to you for about the next 30 to 45 minutes on movement for life, your path to wellness, and weight management. And some of the highlights that I want to cover with the essential role of movement and exercise is working out at the gym versus home, how and what to do. I support and talk about from a beginner level to an advanced level. All of this is embracing a lifestyle that promotes physical vitality um, and sustainable weight management. So let's just jump on in. So there is a difference between movement and exercise. And although they're different, both are essential to physical vitality, weight management, sleep, stress, emotional well being. Um, and I like to simplify it first by saying movement is good for wellness, which I then define wellness as everything that's sort of around you, your self care, your stress, your sleep, where exercise is required for health. And I like to say that health is the more quantifiable part of health and wellness because you can determine health in large part by numbers, by going to the doctor, knowing what your glucose is, your fasted, what your A1C is, your high blood pressure, low blood pressure, or whatever. So, wellness is movement is good for wellness, and exercise is required for health. And even though I'm going to spend the time today to talk to you about health and wellness, I just want to start off and say that true physical wellness begins with a solid foundation of sleep, nutrition, and self care. Because without them, the energy and motivation to move your body becomes nearly impossible to sustain. So, we need good sleep. We need proper nutrition and self care. And that then enables us or puts us into a good position where um, we are ready to tackle the day and we are ready to get moving. So I'm going to dive into movement and exercise in more detail. And there's a lot of information on the screen. I'm not going to read it all. At the end, you have my email and you can contact me for a copy of the presentation. But movement helps the mental and emotional well being, um, mostly because movement activates and provides a healthy outlet for stress. It supports our brain health and it stimulates the release of endorphins, which improves our mood. And movement is also social because we're typically maybe moving with someone else or in groups. Um, and the health benefits are really coming from the sun and from the ground. So, sunlight triggers the synthesis of vitamin D on the skin. Um, and when we get natural light exposure from the sun, for example, especially early in the morning, it helps regulate the circadian rhythm. So we have better sleep. It improves our blood pressure. And controlled sunlight actually has been used to treat certain conditions, such as psoriasis and eczema. So those are some of the benefits of movement. And then next up is exercise. And there's a lot of heart health and metabolic reasons to exercise. And it is estimated by the CDC, and this number is actually increasing. A few years ago, they estimated approximately 75% of disease in North America is controllable, preventable through lifestyle. That number is actually kind of creeping up into the more of the 85% range. So, exercise strengthens your heart so that it can pump blood more efficiently, lowers the resting heart rate, manages blood pressure. It improves insulin sensitivity. So if you're pre-diabetic and even diabetic, exercise is super beneficial for that. And it helps burn calories and support weight management. And this is a little sensitive because a lot of people count calories in order to manage weight, to release weight. But I caution with just counting calories as a concept of calories in, calories out, because in general, we overestimate our activity. So the rate at which we burn calories, and we underestimate the amount of calories that we consume. But more importantly than that, we need to disconnect the I ate something, so I have to move, or I'm moving, so I get to eat something else. So we want to kind of break that relationship and we want to look at it as I'm going to move because I love to move and I'm going to eat to fuel my body and sort of disconnect the relationship of food to exercise. Um, but exercise, again, about the chronic diseases, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, stroke, and similar to movement, exercise increases our longevity, boosts our energy. Again, it releases endorphins. You may have heard of a runner's high. Those are the feel good hormones. And it's actually elevated a little bit with exercise because of the intensity that you um, may be getting while you exercise versus movement, which activities of movement include walking the dog, maybe, pulling weeds in the garden, Tai Chi. Those are all kind of movement because they're slow, but get you moving without getting that heart rate up. So when I talk about exercise, the next part of this is to let you know that there is a real requirement behind exercise. It includes 150 minutes of moderate intensity. Now, these are just sort of the baseline recommendations. So, this is where you want to start. You want 150 minutes of the moderate intensity, which is defined as taking your resting heart rate, dividing it in half, and then adding it back to your resting heart rate. So, for example, if your resting heart rate is 60, you divide that in half, you get 30, add it back to 60, and you get 90. So that's your target heart rate intensity to get that moderate intensity. And often when we're walking the dog, we don't really elevate our heart rate so much because the dog is stopping to smell and sniff everything. And we tend to um, sort of walk along at the dog's pace. Um, So even if like, let's say you want to start adding exercise into your movement and you're walking the dog. I see my neighbor out here that when the dog stops, she starts marching in place. So she gets her heart rate up by walking the dog by marching in place when the dog is smelling things and taking a break. So in addition to the 150 minutes, you want 2 strength training sessions per week. That does not mean you have to go to a gym and lift weights. Body weight is fine. And I'll talk quite a bit more about body weight and how to get that done and how to make it harder for yourself. But body weight training is fine. Push-ups. The basics that I like to stick with are push-ups, sit-ups, dips, and squats. And maybe I would add a plank in there as well. Stretch is good. Always, always stretch. And if you can every day, stretch. Doesn't have to be a lot of time. Even 10 minutes a day is beneficial. I was talking to someone last night that I said if I told my younger self something, it would be to stretch because I'm approaching 63 and at 30, I didn't think stretching was important. Now I wish I stretched more. So stretching every day is really great. And getting outside. Getting outside is proven to help with stress and anxiety, depression. Get outside. And I would also add get outside and take your shoes off and stand in the grass, connect to the earth um, because that is energy. And that is energy that kind of levels your body's energy. So we understand a little bit of the difference between movement and exercise, and we understand what some of the requirements are. Oh, but before I get there, sorry about that, folks, is the physical activity. I did talk about this is not just about burning calories. It's about strengthening our bodies, being ready for anything that life throws at us or anything that you may want to do that enhances our mental well-being, quality of sleep, reducing stress, etc. So where do you want to move and exercise? And that depends on a number of factors, who you are, what your financial situation is about, but you can get it done with either and or both. So working out at home is easy. It's convenient. You don't have to travel anywhere to start moving. The cost savings, it's there. You're not paying a monthly membership. You may want to invest in a small, some equipment like bands or ropes or TRX systems. But there's a lot of at home equipment that you could get that um, may cost you between 100 to maybe $300 at most to get you set up that will really kind of leap you forward while being at home. Again, when you're at home, body weight works. Get outside. And for many people, the privacy and comfort of being at home outweighs going to the gym, especially when you're just beginning and you're uncomfortable with movement. You might be thinking that people are watching you and judging you. So being at home is great um, while you get started and you become more confident. Um, and I would also recommend that if you're just starting out and you want to really tackle the idea of movement, hire a professional like myself, a personal trainer. They can help you get started. I work with people for sometimes 3 to 4 months. They develop all the skills. We go over everything, and then they're ready to launch themselves and continue with their movement plan. And in that time frame, they have accountability and support, which really catapults them much quicker into a fitness routine than without help. Now, going to a gym, it's a dedicated free space from distractions. So maybe you're home and you have kids and it's a distraction and you don't feel focused. So getting outside of the home is great. There's usually a variety of equipment that you may not have at home. There's classes for engagement, which keeps you motivated and a lot of social interaction. And again, similar to working at home, you could, most gyms have personal trainers. You can hire them for a time period. Um, Also, I'll say that going to a gym, most gyms have personal trainers free for 1 or 2 sessions. to acclimate you to the equipment because they want you to be safe. So they'll give you one or two free coaching sessions so that you can learn how to use the equipment properly. So, what do I do? Where do I start? So, I'm going to go over from beginner to advanced first. So, beginner, if you're beginning to just move and you've been pretty sedentary, it's very unstructured. You're just getting up and walking. There's no plan. There's no intervals. You're just moving and you're getting comfortable with the idea of moving. Um, and when you move, it tends to be lower intensity and lower in volume. I over and over and over and over again, I see, and raise your hand if you've maybe done this, is you get all excited about moving, you are exercising and you get out there and you exercise so hard that you can't walk the next day or the day after that. So now you need 3 days to recover. And it's just unmotivating that way. Whereas if you start low intensity and low volume and build, then you won't have that and you're more apt to be consistent. I'm going to talk a little bit about phase 1 to 3 on the progression that you should make. You're working on consistency and you're really working on making it a daily routine. Put your shoes in front of the door. Put your workout clothes somewhere. You want to really make it a daily routine. Now, when you get to the advance, you're going to have more of a plan. Maybe at this point, you're really excited. You want to see some physical changes. You really want to get in shape. Maybe you're signing up for some races or events. So you need a plan. And now you're moving from low intensity and volume to high intensity and volume. And again, you still want to do it progressively, but you are adding more. And then we're working on strength and power, and in this phase, because the load, overall load, and I look at things from a weekly total, not a daily total, but from a weekly total. If the load starts to get too heavy and you want to prevent breakdown and injury, so you're going to plan time off for recovery. Typically, it's one solid day a week, depending on where you are. Maybe in the beginning, it's two. For myself, as I'm aging, I'm almost taking 2 days off a week. But then I am really pushing hard the remaining days. And then with the advanced, you're doing more of this true periodization. So I would just think of it as slowly, slowly, slowly building. You're taking a step, you're taking another step, and you're taking another step. And then you come back down. You give your body some time to heal and repair and recover. And then you go up and up and up again. So it's like sort of like the 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But over time, you have climbed the ladder and you're on, you know, way different floors than you were from the beginning. So this becomes more important when you get into the long endurance activities so that you can heal and repair and recover. Overall, across both beginner and advanced, you want to move the way that you love to move and you want to make it fun. So if I told you to go out and run and you hate running, raise your hand. Do you think you're going to do it very often? No, because you don't like it. So move the way that you love, and you may have to keep trying things to figure out what really does work for you. And for me, for example, I ebb and flow in and out of different movements based on my interest at the time, whether or not I'm injured, because I've been injured before. And if I've got any races going up, I tend to shift focuses. So not only do I do periodization, but I almost do sort of a seasonal shift where I start winding down around Thanksgiving and I recover. I stretch, I focus on base building and strength from like November through January, February, and then I shift gears. So you just got to find what you love to do. Get outside every day that I talked about and don't overcomplicate things. We have wearables, people become slaves to the wearables, or they just don't know what they should be doing. Don't overcomplicate it. Go based on how you feel, then really get into the wearables so that you understand what's going on with your heart rate or understand how much stress you're putting on your body because they are pretty phenomenal devices. And I do encourage them in the long run because you could see your average pace increase, you could see your heart rate lower. So the more fit you get, the heart rate, your resting heart rate is lower. But when you're doing this, and even when you're advanced, don't always overcomplicate things. I've worked with several coaches for my long endurance stuff, and I have to tell them, please do not plan every workout so I'm a slave to my watch. I don't want to be always looking at the data. I want to be having fun with my friends. So um, keep that in mind. Always focus on form, because if you don't have the proper mechanic, then you could or are more prone to injury. So watch that form. And you want to move in all planes of motion. Our body is designed to not just go forward and backward like most of us do, side to side and rotationally. And I'll get into a little bit more uh, detail on that right now. So, um, so here are the planes of motions, right? So sagittal is forward and backward, frontal is side to side or left to right, and the transverse. So those are the directions that you want to move. Let's say that you are working out at home and you use your stairs. Maybe you've got multiple floors or there's a step getting into your house and you're doing step ups, right? And you're going up and down and up and down. Well, then shift your body and go up and down on the side so that you're getting the frontal plane is along with the sagittal plane. So whatever you're doing, do it forward and backward and rotational if you can. Now, I talked about the different phases of exercise. So there's kind of 5 phases that start you off at stabilization and progress you through to power. And power is, box jumping or high jumping or explosive movements. But if you are not stable in how you accelerate and decelerate, you're apt to get injured when you move into the power phase. So a lot of these phases are about enabling your body to adapt to the stress that you're giving it, along with the ability of your body to figure out the proper movement in a safe way to progress it so that when you get into the high intensity, you're far less apt to be injured. So stabilization is what you think it is. It is learning to be stable, going through strength, endurance, and hypertrophy, which is a a number of reps, number of sets followed by reps. So it's a possibly medium number of sets to high reps. So, for example, if you're doing push over your head or a bicep curl, the volume can be high at 10, 12, 15, 20 reps, but the weight is low. So you're developing endurance. Then when you move up into maximum strength, that is, okay, what is one effort going to be like a back squat, like a squat? What is the one effort maximum weight that you can handle versus doing 20 squats? So that's your max strength. And then you move into the power. And when I work with my clients, I always kind of have to remind them that they might need to check their ego. And what I mean by that is often we think, oh, if I'm doing a push up, I have to do it from the plank position. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. But then they have really poor form. And I really love watching people do push ups and they use their head and they bob their head, but their shoulders aren't moving. So they're really not doing push ups. So every movement could be progressed, meaning make it harder. And you want to test those boundaries. So sometimes you do want to test how hard it is, but then you want to, if you're finding that your form fails, you want to regress it and come back down. And you may have to come down one or two steps. So there's ways to progress both the lower and upper body. And the first thing, though, that we work on is stabilization. So you're on a floor, pretty darn stable. But then you could go up to a beam or a half foam roller or discs, which are unstable. And you learn to um, tweak the muscles around your ankles and the finer muscles around your bone. But you don't want to start off going unstable because you might hurt your knee. You're going to feel uncomfortable. And then you can progress from standing two legs straight to a staggered stance where one leg is in front of the other, the single leg to both legs on discs. So there is a way to progress any movement. Let's take a squat, for example. Most of us do a squat on two legs stable, right? We're on the ground and you progress through it. And let's say ultimately you want to do two legs unstable, so you're on dyno discs. Or maybe you want to do what's called a pistol, where you do a squat on one leg. So you start with the staggered stance and then you progress to one leg. So there is a way, and I want you to know that there is a way where you can progress your movements in a safe way where you don't get injured because when you injure yourself, I mean, we don't want to be injured, right? Ever, if we can avoid it, but that's probably not realistic. But we don't want the downtime, right? We lose the consistency with injury, and then it plays with our mind because then we're not moving. So let's avoid injury and just know that let's check that ego and say, is this the right form? And if it's not, then we want to regress it. And this is going back to maybe at the very beginning when you're starting movement is to hire someone to observe you until you can learn to feel it. And then as you get better, then you'll know if your form is not in the correct position. Like I can now. I've been doing this for so long and I have a tendency that my knees come in when I squat, but I can feel it and I can correct it. But when you're not sure, you need someone to observe you. Um, so move in all planes of motion, consider phases, and work on form. And I love exercise. I've been doing exercise ever since I was a kid from riding my bike outside. And even though I love to move, I still struggle sometimes with the motivation. And sometimes I get in my own head and put some blocks up. So I want to cover a few key blocks that I hear the most when I'm starting to work with people who are exercising. One is I don't have the time. Yeah, I don't have the time. So schedule it, invite a friend, make a commitment, fit it in where you can, watching TV, waiting in line during breaks at work if you've got them. So, but the real question is it a priority? Are you spending time watching TV, being on social media? Like where are your time wasters? So you really do need to schedule it and make fitness a priority because I'm confident that we all can find some time. I don't like to exercise. That's something I hear. Like I said, move the way you love. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep trying. You never know where you're going to find what you enjoy. And if your friends say, hey, let's take a Zumba class, say yes. Give it a whirl. Doesn't mean you have to go again, but say yes. And you might find that you really like it. So keep trying and have fun. I mean, really, fun is the key to it. This next one, I'll be judged. And, others are going to judge me. I'm going to judge me. Right. So there's a lot in this section that's far more emotional than it is physical. But I can say with some certainty that if you are uncomfortable going to the gym or getting outside, because you think somebody's judging you, no one's really paying attention to you. So, um, I know it's very uncomfortable in the beginning, but um, a lot of, we think other people are judging us, but mostly people are not. They're in their own space. And remember that everyone has a story. We all have a journey. We're all starting somewhere. And even the best were not the best when they started. So we just need to keep try, because they all have a story. You got to start somewhere. And if you're really uncomfortable with land bearing things, for if you're on a weight loss or weight release journey and you're feeling that it's too achy on your bones, then go non weight bearing to help you out. Most importantly in this category, be kind to yourself. Be kind, be compassionate. You are where you are. It's okay. There's a reason why you have a journey. You belong. You belong in the gym. You belong at home. You belong moving. So be kind to yourself and compassionate in this process. And then I don't know what to do. So we've kind of covered that. Just start, don't overcomplicate it, hire a professional for a while. But if you're not sure, join a group. And there's a ton of groups out there. There's Meetup, there's online, there's fitness classes, there's martial arts, there's hiking, there's dancing, there's all kinds of things. So don't let that stop you from getting going. And so I know it's really, really hard to get and to stay motivated. Um, but keep in mind that your level of fitness is going to ebb and flow, that you can't reach a peak and stay there. Um, it is an ebb and flow. So always be kind to yourself. And if you believe you cannot do it, because I've been there, I've been at the start line of races going, I don't belong here. I can't do this. They look the part. I don't look the part. Um, but what I've learned is that you can. There's one person who's first, everybody else is in the middle, and you can do it. We just got to start. Um, so let's just recap some key takeaways, which is have fun, move the way you like, don't overcomplicate it. The key for me is engaging a friend or two. Most of my activities are very social, but everybody's different. Maybe you don't want to work out with other people, but at least maybe find one, a trusted friend. Make it fun, engage them, add it to your calendar. And I'm a key proponent of signing up for something. I remember my first sprint triathlon. I was scared to death of my first, 5K, which is 3.1 miles. And I was scared to death. And I was like, but I'm not fast. And, I'm going to look silly. And there's going to be a lot of people, and I'm going to be last. And you sign up for the event and you'll make it happen. And I know you can do it. So I want to say thank you for listening to the presentation. It was sort of short and sweet here. Again, my name is Lita at Head to Toe Coaching. You can email me at that address if you want a copy of the presentation. Um, for the presentation special, you can go to www.dreaminganddoingit.com, or you can click on the QR code that's on the screen there and join my newsletter and get a couple freebies, PDF files. One of them is why and how to stretch, and a food, fluid, and function diary. And that's kind of in the blue on the left. And the next square is the all access pass ticket holders. So I am offering a free movement assessment. So I'm asking you to email me and say, I would love to have a movement assessment that will be done via Zoom. And I understand that, and if you're starting out, you might be a little uncomfortable with the assessment, but I do have a handout that you could guide you to do one with yourself, and then we can call and chat about it. And then on the far right are my certifications. So again, I want to thank you so much for your time.